What's good, y'all? It's that boy, Easy Millions, and I'm your host of That Boy ETV. You already know, man. We are back on Marvel Rivals, and we're back with another character breakdown. And as you can see in the background, it's for that new guy, Mr. Fantastic, baby. So let's get right into this. And again, we're talking about Mr. Fantastic. He is a duelist. He has a base health of 350, and he has a movement speed of 6 meters a second, man. Now, when compared to the likes of Wolverine, Hawkeye, and the Winter Soldier, Mr. Fantastic has a fair amount of health for a duelist, making him almost the equivalent of a duelist tank. Luckily, he's not too tricky to play and comes with the right health and attacks to make him truly formidable in most roles, man. And Mr. Fantastic, the first thing I'm going to say is he is the first what you would call a duelist tank to be introduced into the game. This guy's health pool is ridiculous, especially once you start getting all of his passive abilities going, and the way he has survivability with certain moves is just kind of crazy, man. So let me not waste any more of y'all time and get right into this. And the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be his stretch punch, in which he stretches out forward to punch and attack enemies, man. And with this, it does 60 damage. It has a 15-meter radius. It does 1.1 hits per second. This has an infinite ammo. And when you swing your arms, you can hit multiple targets, man. Now, as you can see, when you're playing against your basic 275, 250, you will go ahead and take about 5 of these punches in order to take them out. So they are pretty slow as far as that goes, and the actual attack speed, in my opinion, is kind of slow. Now, as well, when you use this, if you attack and swing your arms in the process, you can actually hit enemies. You can actually hit multiple enemies, and it's pretty cool. This is a nice mechanic that actually is put into the game for the first time. Now, with his basic attack here, it does feel somewhat a little underwhelming when you're using it, but ultimately it is pretty good. And with the added mechanic of swinging your arms to hit multiple enemies, that's pretty dope, man. So just make sure when you're out there, you're just swinging away, man. Like, it's gonna be kind of crazy the way that you're attacking out there. But we got to get into his abilities, and the first one we're going to talk about is going to be his passive. And with this, it's called Elastic Strength. And using abilities generate elasticity, boosting attack power. Reaching full elasticity triggers an inflated state that grants shield and boosts even more damage, man. And with this, your max elasticity can be 100. Your inflated duration will be 6 seconds. Your damage during this will be 75. Your maximum distance will be 8 meters. Your attack interval will be 0.92 seconds per hit. Your bonus health will be 450. And you get a 20% movement boost, man. Now, as you can see, when you're doing your moves, your normal attacks, and any of your special moves, you will build up the elasticity bar that's right there in front of your screen. And once you hit full max power, you will basically bulk up looking like a little mini Hulk. And while in this state, you do get extra damage on your normal attacks, while also gaining the movement boost and the big chunk of health, man. Now, this right here, this passive is very, very, very strong, and this what actually makes him a duelist tank. So I really feel like with this passive and the way that his abilities work, he will primarily be played in that duelist tank type of role, where he's probably more protecting the backline healers and sitting more near the point. I feel like that he will be great at that, and make sure that you are taking advantage of this. So always use his abilities as much as possible. Now let's get into his first ability, which is going to be called Distended Grip. And with this, you extend arms forward to entangle an enemy. Then you press the primary attack to pull the hit enemy toward him, or select and yank another enemy, knocking them airborne against each other. The projectile speed on this is going to be 60 meters a second. The projectile range is 20 meters. The secondary release maximum distance is 25 meters. The initial projectile damage is 20. The secondary projectile damage is 20. And the target pull range is 10 meters, man. Now, as you can see with this, you want to make sure you actually hit it. But once you go ahead and grab it, you will do that. And you can go ahead and aim at another enemy and hit the primary attack and go ahead and damage them. or when you grab them, you can go ahead and just hit the right trigger and just damage the enemy there, and you will continually smack them against each other. Now, this does actually work between walls, it seems like, as when I was playing, anytime I was able to grab onto them, I was able to then just go ahead and hit the trigger and grab the damage. Now, again, when you're doing this, once you grab the first person, in order to grab another, you will have to actually aim at another person and hit the right trigger again, or your primary attack. Because if you don't, once you hit the primary attack, you will just go ahead and put both arms onto the same enemy and just do all damage to one enemy instead of slamming two together. So make sure when you're doing this that you're grabbing the first enemy and you look over to the next one, hit the primary attack, and then it will go ahead and slap them together, man. Now, this ability here is pretty good. I'm gonna say this though, it's actually harder to hit than you think with everyone moving around. So just kind of be wary of that. And when you use this ability, you do actually use up the cooldown even if you don't grab anybody. So just be aware of that, and just be aware that this is actually a little harder to hit than normal. But when you do hit it, go ahead and hit that primary attack button. Make sure you aim at one other person to go ahead and get double damage, or just go ahead and hit it again to get damage on the one person that you got. Now, we're going to move on to his next ability, which is going to be called Flexible Elongation. And with this, you gain a shield, select a target and dash towards them, dealing damage to enemies or granting a shield to allies. For this, the select distance is 15 meters. The bonus health for yourself or allies will be 75. The damage is 30. The cooldown will be 8 seconds. The gain elasticity will be 30. And you have 2 charges on this, man. And as you can see, when you look at an enemy and you hit it, you will grab them and dash forward, dealing damage to them. But if you actually look at a teammate and you grab them, you will dash forward to them, granting them a shield. So with this, you just want to kind of make sure that you are both using this as a defensive tool for your teammates and as an offensive tool against your enemies. So this here is a really good move. I primarily used it more as far as to get damage and to use it as a finish off tool, similar to like Psylocke's dash, where you get the enemy low and then you go ahead and use this to grab them and get that last little bit of damage that you need. Now, is this effective on giving teammates shield? I believe it can be, especially if you use it in the right situations. Just make sure that you are both shielding and getting your last damage. And when you aren't able to get last damage, you might as well go ahead and place shields down on your teammates, helping them out in the fights, man. Now we're going to move on to the next ability here, which will be called Reflective Rubber. And with this, you stretch the body to absorb damage before launching stored damage in the targeted direction, man. And with this, you get a shield value of 300. The max duration will be 3 seconds. The self-slow rate will be negative 35%. The damage absorbed is 60%, and reflected projectile speed is 80 meters a second with a 12-second cooldown, man. And as you can see with this, when you pop it, you will get big, and you will go ahead and absorb any incoming damage and then shoot it back at the enemy once you have reached full power, or you can release it at any point. Now, this move right here is actually very, very, very useful. It'll help you get out of situations as far as making sure you can back up and get out of things. But one thing I want to make sure that you guys know is, while I was playing, I noticed if someone like a Wolverine is able to come in and hit his leap on you and take you away, once you land, if you actually hit this ability, you will actually be able to eat all the damage that he actually sends your way, and you will actually be able to neutralize that attack on him. So this is actually a very good ability. So make sure you're using this and seeing just how many things you can actually absorb. But again, something like Wolverine's leap, you can definitely absorb, and along with most projectiles, you can also absorb. Now we got to talk about his final ability, which will be his ult, and this is called the Brainiac Bounce. And with this, you leap upward and smash the ground, slowing enemies within range. Mr. Fantastic can leap again upon landing a hit. Now with this is a spherical spell field as a cast. It has a 10-meter radius. The damage has an initial 50, with each additional leap adding 10 damage up to a max of 100. The slow rate per leap is negative 10%, with a max of negative 60%. The slow duration will be 3 seconds. The minimum leaps will be 3. The maximum leaps will be 6. The energy cost is 2,800. and after the minimum number of leaps, each additional leap must hit an enemy to trigger the next one, man. And as you can see with this here, when you pop it, you will jump up in the air. You will get a circle on the ground to help you aim where you're landing. And you're basically just going to want to make sure that you're jumping up and hitting enemies every single time. Now, the more enemies you hit, the more charge that you get, and you'll be able to continue similar to Winter Soldiers again. You'll be able to get that with Mr. Fantastic's ult, which is actually fairly cool. Now, the one thing with his ult that I want to make sure that I stress to you guys is, depending on what map you on, the terrain will interfere with your ult, as if there's like walls or ceilings or any type of like bridges, you will be interfered with this if people are under them or within them. So make sure that depending on what map you're on, that you use this ult at that specific time. Now, if you are in an open area like on Yggdrasil's Domination, where you have that one point that's in the open area, I see that this ult here can be very, very deadly and devastating. It's very similar to Winter Soldiers again, as if you're able to continually hit enemies, you will make sure to trigger another leap, and the more you leap, the more damage you're able to do. So this ultimate again is very, very good, but make sure you're using it in the right areas, as the terrain will mess up your ult, man. Now, the last thing we need to talk about with him is going to be team-ups. He does have one, and this one's going to be called Wedded Harmony. And with this, the Invisible Woman taps into her powers, channeling psionic might to fortify Mr. Fantastic. This formidable force bolsters Mr. Fantastic, granting damage resistance. Once activated, they can continually generate bonus health, making up for lost health. And with this, you get a duration of 5 seconds, a cooldown of 20 seconds, with a damage/health conversion of 100%, and the team-up target again is going to be Invisible Woman, man. Now with this, when you hit it, you will go ahead and get the ability from her. Once it's activated, you will continually generate bonus health and making up for any lost health that you have. Now, once this is over, you will gradually lose the health over time. It won't just go all the way at one time. You will gradually lose it over time. So with this is a good team up. It is all right. Do I think that this will be one of those team ups that we see teams really, taking advantage of? It might be, due to the fact that if you want to actually run Mr. Fantastic as your, pseudo tank in a comp, I can see Mr. Fantastic being like the tank person in a comp. If you run him with Invisible Woman, this will only add to his survivability and how much health that he actually has, man. Now, overall, Mr. Fantastic, in my opinion, is going to be a very fun character. Now, if you're someone who plays Vanguards a lot, that loves playing tanks and playing on the point, I think Mr. Fantastic will be the duelist for you, as he, in my opinion, he is truly a duelist tank, meant to play more in the backline protecting healers and playing near the point, as we're trying, most of his moves are within a certain range, and he doesn't have very much mobility, but he does have a lot of health to keep him in a fight, man. So make sure y'all hop on today, man, get y'all hands on him, and hopefully this guide helped y'all out, man. But anything else that y'all know, any other tips and secrets that I left out, please put them down in them comments. But this has been another one of them character breakdowns, and I hope y'all enjoyed that, man. But as always, please like, comment, subscribe, follow, share, become a supporter, and catch me streaming on Facebook Gaming and Twitch at DatBoyETV. Now, catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.